Wonder Woman is a movie-length television pilot that aired on the ABC network in the year 1974. This pilot stars former tennis star turned actress Cathy Lee Crosby as Wonder Woman. The film follows mostly plainclothes U.S. government agent Diana Prince, who is called Dee by her friends and boss Steve Trevor. She uses the codename Wonder Woman in the field when she becomes involved in tracking down stolen classified information on other secret agents. The mastermind behind the thievery and blackmailing is one Abner Smith, who is played by Ricardo Montalban. Twice before this pilot, Wonder Woman has appeared on television. She first appeared as a guest star in the Filmation cartoon The Brady Kids by 1972 in the episode It's All Greek to Me.
This is a job for Wonder Woman.
The plot involved the kids and Wonder Woman time-traveling to ancient Greece around the era of the Olympic Games for some bits about education and competition.
Wow! Where did the Wonder Woman come from?
She probably broke through a time barrier or something.
Her second appearance came by 1973, where she was a regular cast member of the cartoon series Super Friends.
Wonder Woman? Come in, Wonder Woman.
I'm already on top of it, Batman.
However, there was one previous attempt to make a live-action Wonder Woman TV show before the Cathy Lee Crosby version. William Dozer, who produced the live-action Batman series, also tried his hand at crafting a short 5-minute screen test for Wonder Woman in 1967, known by the title Who's Afraid of Diana Prince? Intended to be played for laughs, like the camp of the 60s Batman television series, the piece featured Ellie Wood Walker as Diana Prince and Linda Harrison of Planet of the Apes fame as the idealized image of Wonder Woman that Diana would transform into after going through a revolving closet door.
Steve's plane must be grounded. Mother, I won't be having any dinner tonight.
No dinner?
No.
Oh, don't be silly. Where do you think all that strength comes from? Those gods?
Away, away, you vision of enchantment. You've got a job to do.
Wonder Woman's first appearance, along with her longtime boyfriend, Colonel Steve Trevor, takes place within the pages of All-Star Comics issue number 8 in the year 1941. She was created by William Moulton Marston, who wrote under the pen name of Charles Moulton. As serendipity would have it, the psychologist who helped to create the lie detector would also invent Wonder Woman, along with her magic lasso, which compelled people to tell her the truth.
I don't have to put up with this crap.
We are unfamiliar with this particular idiom. What does crap mean?
No, forget I even said it. It's another word for excrement. You happy now, lady?
See, my child, is it not as I've always said? Here the true nature of man is laid bare. What other depraved thoughts must you be thinking?
God, your daughter's got a nice rack.
So, the Cathy Lee Crosby pilot opens with the synchronized theft of a series of guarded books. The intermediary that hires all the book thieves is named George, who is portrayed by Andrew Prine. You may remember Prine as Stephen from V, the original miniseries, where he played the role of the suave yet deadly visitor Stephen.
Sorry I'm late.
You kept me waiting, naughty boy.
Little problem at the plant.
Oh.
Arthur said he'd join us in a while.
Good.
Here, his role as George is not that far off from typecasting, as after George's hirelings deliver the books, he has a pair of twins named Joey and Cass wipe all the other robbers out. This double-dealing paves the way for George to sell the texts to the highest bidder, so they may decipher the cryptography and secrets contained within.
I don't want any trace of these bodies found.
We are then treated to a bit of backstory to this particular version of Diana of the Amazons.
It was perhaps inevitable that the man-made world would one day require a unique woman, a Wonder Woman. That day has come. You are that unique woman, Diana. You will be the Wonder Woman.
After clasping bracelets with Angela and her other closest friends, which I suppose is the traditional way these particular Amazons say their farewells, she is off and running to man's world. When we next see Diana, she appears to be a mere secretary who happens to overhear the emergency conference her boss Steve Trevor has set up regarding the stolen texts. The ransom for the return of the sensitive information on United States operatives is $15 million, and one of the primary suspects is one Abner Smith, whose face has never been photographed before, and last known location was the country France. However, once the meeting concludes, and Diana turns down the advances of one of the conference members, Bob, we discover things are not entirely as they seem.
You're always a step ahead of me.
It turns out the whole secretary thing is actually Diana's cover story, for she is in fact one of the government's best secret operatives, going by the codename Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. She's here. Room 702.
Now, you might not be an expert on comics, but you've probably already noticed some things that are unfamiliar to you. In this series, Wonder Woman does not have her raven-colored hair and is a blonde. Also, if Steve Trevor is really her commanding officer as a secret government operative, then it is fair to say that he is in fact in on the secret that Diana is actually Wonder Woman.
Hey. Nobody can replace you.
Besides that, Wonder Woman is not so much a superhero with genuine superpowers in this pilot as she is a super sleuth. Sort of like a female James Bond with intrigue and a variety of far-fetched gadgets at her disposal. She's got guys trying to run her down with a car while she's in a phone booth, gets attacked on the elevator ride up to her hotel room, which is no Bourne Identity. But you get the idea that's what they were going for, and has these intimate dinners with George, the man trying to have her killed despite his boss Abner Smith's protestations.
I think you'll find Captain Teve a very exciting city.
Oh, it is. So far, a gentleman has dropped in on me from the roof of the elevator. My room is bugged.
Then you didn't get the room with the trap door in the floor?
Where the analogy falls flat is that, as liberated as women may have been by 1974, secret agent Diana wasn't gonna be the man-whore that James Bond proudly is. Of course, maybe it has something to do with the laughable way George makes his moves as well.
You are so totally captivating. Let me make love to you.
Why?
With some quick acrobatics, Diana narrowly avoids Joey smashing through the payphone stand and manages to put some kind of tracer gadget on his automobile. Diana follows the car to a luxurious residence where she gets a phone call from the smitten Abner Smith, who hopes she will put on a bikini for one of his famous pool parties.
If you'd like to swim, you'll find bathing attire in the cabana.
Well, that's very kind of you, but I only came by to rescue the books you borrowed.
After her refusal to play Smith's games, Diana is left behind by Joey, trapped as the gateway to the residence slams shut. Suspicious enough to toss one of her Amazon bracelets at the gate, her caution pays off when she finds it to be electrified. Luckily, she manages to hotwire the mechanical door opener and retrieves her bracelet. Diana rushes back to her hotel room, only to discover that George and the twins are there waiting for her.
You're not surprised. I wanted to surprise you.
Diana successfully fights off the twins and makes short work of George by karate chopping him in the back of the neck. While the Cathy Lee Crosby Wonder Woman is not reminiscent of the Wonder Woman of the comics in appearance, the way she uses martial arts rather than superpowers to fight her opponents reminds me of the era of Wonder Woman comics generally referred to as the Yi Ching or New Look Wonder Woman that ran from issues 178 to 204. Diana dressed like Emma Peel after the Amazons left reality to traverse dimensional planes and found a new mentor in Yi Ching. When the Amazons left, Wonder Woman stayed behind to help an undercover Steve Trevor, and in doing so, gave up her superpowers. Yi Ching is kinda like a blind Chinese Yoda who constantly refers to himself in the third person.
Not far, Yoda
You're not far.
He ends up teaching Diana to fight like Bruce Lee after she discovers her boyfriend murdered by Dr. Cyber. Another element from the new look Wonder Woman comics that would be reflected in this TV movie was all the gadgetry, such as trick bracelets as of Wonder Woman 181 by 1969. As shocking as a powerless hipster Wonder Woman who capitalized on the kung fu craze of the day and a dead Steve Trevor was for many fans, the run lasted for more than 2 years before said changes reverted to a more traditional status quo.
Oh no. Where you go, I go.
Next, Diana quickly heads back to headquarters in New York, where Steve Trevor finds a burro in a crate that Smith has sent him. Steve is told to put the ransom money in burlap sacks on the burro, while the attempts on Diana's life continue, with a killer snake planted in her hotel room in New York City. She fends off the snake by having the bellhop bring up a saucer of milk for a $50 tip. To be honest, I didn't understand this defense at all until I did a little research. I guess that the milk is viewed as a religious offering to snakes in some cultures, like India for example, and is often used in films as a means of snake charming, even though it has little basis in fact.
A certain point of view?
Luke, you're going to find that many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view.
Following the latest attempt on Diana's life, one of her fellow Amazons comes to warn her that her childhood friend from the beginning of the piece, Angela, has fled to the world of man for her own selfish purposes and cannot be trusted. We then see that Angela has indeed joined forces with Abner Smith, who has the idea it could take an Amazon to beat an Amazon. Although the Amazon's sister, who comes to warn Diana, is never mentioned specifically by name, she could very well be an interpretation of the character Nubia, who first appears within the pages of Wonder Woman 204 in the year 1973. To post-crisis fans, it may also bring Captain of the Amazon Guard Philippus to mind, even though she would not appear until 1987.
What's a Nubian?
Shut the fuck up!
Steve eventually makes the drop-off of the ransom at what appears to be an old Universal backlot, but is supposed to be a small ghost town in the middle of Arizona. Finally, after more than a half hour, we get to see our hero in costume as Wonder Woman. The twins are hiding out, just waiting to snipe her down, but of course Wonder Woman gets the drop on them, clunking their heads together. Afterwards, Wonder Woman continues to follow the burro, hoping to track down George or Abner Smith. The burro enters a room where it is watered down, a bright light appears and vanishes. Wonder Woman enters the room, but the burro is nowhere to be found.
It's a trap!
The trap is sprung as Wonder Woman is sealed in the room between a plexiglass shield on one side and an acidic mud stream on the other side. Not being superpowered as the Wonder Woman from the comics is, it takes quite a bit of effort for her to kick down the glass door and escape. The next obstacle in her path is that the burro enters a cave where multiple animals with identical burlap sacks exit the cave.
You see, I really hate clones.
We then see that even if Wonder Woman manages to find the correct animal, that Angela, the evil Amazon who is an expert javelin thrower, will be waiting for her. Apparently, Wonder Woman has a way with nature and wildlife as an Amazon, and so she selects the correct burrow. When Wonder Woman suddenly appears, George then bets Angela she cannot nail Wonder Woman and knock her off the animal with her expert spear toss. Wonder Woman, of course, catches the spear mid-air and throws it back at them just short of where they are standing.
Must we make war against each other?
We have no choice.
Wonder Woman and Angela then face off like some kind of Vulcan Ponfar death match, which George eventually grows tired of, so he tries to shoot Wonder Woman. Angela may be a selfish evil Amazon, but I guess she still has a line she won't cross when it comes to the personal honor of an Amazon to Amazon fight, and stops George from firing on Wonder Woman.
George, take the burrow and leave. And I advise you to do as you were instructed.
Angela and Wonder Woman finally go at it with no more interruptions, and Wonder Woman proves the victor as she breaks Angela's staff in two. Of course, Wonder Woman spares her life. But if the series had continued, this probably would have come back to bite her in the ass.
You would not take my life.
I didn't save your life on the island to take it now.
You know as well as I do that we will face each other again. And if I win, I will take your life.
As repayment for the childhood debt, Wonder Woman gets Angela to tell her exactly where George is headed for.
You found what has to be the most unlikely place to live in the entire country, Mr. Smith. Inside the north wall of the Grand Canyon.
Also, we finally get to see our first real screen time with Ricardo Montalban instead of his stand-in.
You are exactly as I picture you. Exactly.
George, of course, still wants to kill Wonder Woman, but Smith is clearly fascinated by his lovely opponent.
We have to kill her. Oh, I certainly hope not, George.
George probably had the right idea because Wonder Woman uses her super espionage skills to plant an explosive bracelet on Smith's getaway copter.
May I look?
If you give me your word that you won't try to sabotage it.
Oh, I've given you no word to keep, Admiral. In my judgment, you simply have no alternative.
Wonder Woman runs off with the text and ransom money once the explosion is set off, but George and Abner trap the Amazon super sleuth yet again. While Wonder Woman busts out her golden lasso from a secret compartment in her belt buckle to escape the second trap, George pulls a double cross, killing the twins for their share of the money.
Why, George?
George is even about to kill Abner for his share of the ransom, but the mastermind has already planned for such an occurrence, setting off gas bombs which trip George up and make him fall into the ravine. Abner Smith then leaves George to drown as he kayaks away. Wonder Woman refuses to give up the chase, going after Smith on a dirt bike, and then does a perfect 10 dive into the river right after Smith.
You came close, Abner.
I guess the ratings on this were respectable, just not respectable enough, and a year later they would go with a much more faithful version with Linda Carter as Wonder Woman. This isn't the very last we'd see of the Cathy Lee Crosby version, as the comic series Infinite Crisis paid tribute to her along with Drusilla, the Linda Carter Wonder Woman's sister, on Earth 462. I guess the idea of a female James Bond isn't so bad, it's not really Wonder Woman. But what do I know? Khan here certainly seems to love her.
Wonder Woman, I love you.
Let me make love to you.
Why?